Allison Suter is a holistic health practitioner and on a mission to change the way the world eats, one mouth at a time. Born on Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada, the daughter of Gail and Colonel Moody Suter. Her father, Colonel Moody Suter, was a famous F-15 fighter pilot and a visionary who founded programs such as Red Flag and the Warriors Prep Center in Germany. Her mother, Gail, was an interior designer. Being raised in a military family gave Allison the privilege of growing up all over the world. Allison graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in dance from Arizona State University. And after performing with the New York dance company, Art and Myrna, her life took a turn when she gave birth to her daughter, Sita. In 1999, she became founder of Moody Leather, Inc. This company designs and globally distributes the finest luxury guitar straps on the market. Being a CEO, hanging out with the likes of Joan Jett, Green Day, Kiss, and traveling all over the United States, this rock and roll lifestyle triggered her own quest for health and wellness. During the course of 5 years, she completed the Robbins University for Life Coaching, became a yoga instructor, and certified Somato Respiration Integration Therapist. That uses body breath techniques for healing, meditation, and relaxation. She graduated with honors from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, as well as their graduate program, and currently coaches 25 students to help support her alma mater. In February 2010, she followed her soul's calling by switching careers to become a full-time nutrition coach, improving the health and lives of her clients. Her goal is to change the way the world eats, one mouth at a time. Her clients range from single individuals to groups where she's implemented overall corporate wellness plans. She's the founder of Elite Nutrition and now lives here with her beautiful daughter in Newport Beach, California. Please join me in welcoming Allison Suter.
I'm so grateful to be speaking in front of all of you today because I just feel so passionately about this. You know, as he mentioned, I really had a very cool lifestyle in the rock and roll industry, and for me to switch careers, it really was my soul's calling, and doing this comes from my heart. And I love common sense. I love to explain nutrition and to get rid of all the rules and every time I tell somebody what I do, they always tell me, oh, I'm doing this diet, what about this diet? And there's all these rules and regulations that go around eating. What I passed out for you today is just 5 common myths around nutrition. So I'd like to bust those myths. Simply put, humans have been around probably longer than 40,000 years, but that's about all my little brain can wrap itself around. 40,000 years is a long time. When you look at timelines, they go back 4,000 or 5,000 years. But basically our DNA hasn't changed in all this time. And if you look at history, our food supply has changed over the last 200 years. About the 1800s, we started creating machinery, and machinery started altering the molecular structure of food. It really is that simple. Our bodies are of organic molecular structure. And I don't mean organic, without pesticides. I mean organic of earth molecular structure. So when we ingest food, our bodies are communicating with it. Is this good? Is this poison? Is this a toxin? What do I do with this? Can I create energy with this? And on that level, it's saying, is this something I can recognize or not? So all the rules and regulations of this diet and that diet and proteins and carbs really is so complicated, and we've been eating intuitively for 40,000 years. So what I do is I teach people how to eat intuitively, and I cultivate a relationship between you and your body and you and your food so that you make the decision on what you're going to be eating, because I can't be around all the time to coach you on that, and I don't want my clients to be dependent upon me. I want to teach them how to fish. I want to teach them how to eat healthy in this modern world that we live in. Myth number 1, diet foods, low-calorie foods, and sugar-free foods help you lose weight. You hear this all the time, but I'm eating diet-free, I'm sugar-free, I'm not eating any sugar. Well, molecularly speaking, it is a fake food. It's something that our bodies do not recognize as food. And when your body doesn't recognize something as food, it tries to process and pass it through, but often what it'll do is it'll push it aside and it will go into our fat storage. Just like if you eat too much fish and it's consumed a lot of mercury, you get mercury poisoning. It's the same thing with our bodies. If you take an analysis of fat on your body, you'll see toxins, herbicides, pesticides, because our bodies say, well, I'm going to deal with that later, I'm going to cleanse. But in this modern world, we are constantly eating, and we don't really give our systems enough time to cleanse. So that's one of the reasons why diet foods, because it's a fake food. Also, you'll see it makes aspartame, which is in Diet Coke, is a chemical. I could honestly speak for about an hour on aspartame and how it's an excitotoxin. It gets past your blood-brain barrier. It's something that causes nervous disorders. People say, oh, I'm not sleeping very well at night because I had a lot of caffeine, I drank a lot of Diet Coke. It has nothing to do with that. It is affecting your nervous system, and it's like, along with MSG, it kind of sneaks past that, affects your brain. It also affects your body's production of serotonin, which controls the mood. So I'm following this, but honestly, I don't do very well with structure. I really do best speaking from my heart. And I really want to say that with the, in reference to that people are standing in lab coats and studying our hormones and putting those chemicals in foods that suppress our appetite or kick in our appetite. When you eat something like Diet Coke or sugar-free foods, what happens is it suppresses the hormones that say I'm full. So when you eat living foods with digestive enzymes and all this amazing nutrients, your body knows when to say it's full. But when you eat something that has chemicals in it, planters, roasted peanuts, potato chips, whatever it is, your body wants to eat more of it because it's not getting any nutrients, and that has a chemical in it that suppresses the hormone that says I'm full. And so your arm feels like it's going to fall off, your mouth hurts, and you're like, oh God, I don't know why I can't stop eating this. Because there are people who study that. They study the chemicals in your body to see, and they study how you're going to be addicted to that food. It's very, very dangerous. These modern diseases that we have, when you look at the time and the history, it's all directly related to the food that we have. Stress is caused so much by the food that we eat, and you think it's all just your job, or whatever relationship, whatever it may be, and the food you're intaking has so much to do with it. When I work with people, I'll see them go from stress to peace and ease. Their whole, demeanor changes. Their coworkers say they're happier and nicer to work with. I see it all the time, and the diet foods are one of the #1 causes of that. MSG, anything that man has touched, and the molecular structure has shifted as well. I do want to bust some of these myths, because a lot of people do believe that fattening foods create fattening people. I eat copious amounts of fat, just the good fats. Our brain is fat and water. That's why you need water, but you need the good kind. You need water. The quality of water makes a big difference. Unfortunately, the plastics that we have do leach PETE, which is a petroleum-based product. You don't know if the bottle's been in the heat since it gets, when it gets to you. Those are tasteless, odorless toxins that go into your body. I love to use the analogy of like a Hitchcock film where the woman is slowly poisoning her husband with chocolate cake and he doesn't taste it, but over time he definitely dies from it. It's the same thing with our foods. And then the people who create those chemicals to make you want to eat the food, eat more of that food, also create the chemicals that will get rid of your headache on the other end. They are the same companies, the same corporations. And they also do the pesticides as well. They all work together. So if you did not know that, something I'd like for you to know. Good oils. We've all heard avocados are good oils, fish oil is good oil, coconut oil is my favorite oil because it's good all the way around. And it actually helps you lose weight. So, and you don't eat nearly as much if you're consuming the proper amounts of oils, olive oil. But if you heat an oil, it changes the molecular structure of it. So that's why olive oil has a low burning. It'll burn at medium heat. But olive oil really is supposed to be consumed cold or at room temperature. Coconut oil is very stable oil. It's the only oil that I cook in. Meat. So people always say, oh, you must be vegan, you must be vegetarian, because I'd say probably 95% of people eat meat every day, probably at every meal, and we have it marketed to us that we really need to consume that much. And in all honesty, you do need protein. You don't really need it every day. If you look at historically 40,000 years, people were not consuming meat every single day by any way, shape, or form. They were hunting it and working hard for it, which we don't really need to do today, and the buildup of protein is not very healthy for you. And one of the things I brought has quinoa in it. It's an ancient seed. It goes in the field of grains, but it's actually a seed. It's a perfect protein. And I do consume meat, but I don't consume any meat that's been fed corn. Corn is a very dangerous thing to feed cattle. I could go on for about an hour with that. There's lots of movies and things if you're interested. I can point you in that direction. Corn is pure sugar. You are what you eat, right? So the animal you're eating is what it eats. Bison will die on corn. It's a pretty smart animal. Actually, cows die on corn as well, but they die at 120 days. So genius marketing, they kill them and slaughter them at 115, 118 days just before they die of a condition called acidosis. And acidosis is too much acid in the system, is what we experience every day as humans. So, you know, when you have your one-on-one with me, or other than that, you'll hear me talk about my greens. I was just over there drinking my greens. Greens alkalize the system, give you energy, oxygenate your blood, and I have the most perfect greens that I consume like all day long, because stress creates acid in our body. So in the facts about the meat, I wanted to point out that it also is really bad for the environment. I mean, the greenhouse effect that cattle and pigs and livestock are creating is worse than cars. The car emissions. Livestock also produces more than 100 other polluting gases, 2/3 of the world's emissions of ammonia, and is one of the main causes of acid rain. Like, really? And we can do something so simple as just have meatless Mondays. You don't have to go forever without any meat. But just like one day, or starting to focus a little more on plants, eating plants. That's one thing across the board. Some people do well without meat, and some people don't do well without meat, but everybody does really well with a lot of vegetables, a lot of plants, eat a lot of plants. Myth number 4, we've been told what to eat and how much all the time. That's what goes with these rules of diets. You know, I heard a crazy diet when Marty was cutting my hair. This guy was like, I heard him over here, and he was saying, oh, I've got to have, you know, first week I can have this, and the second week and I have that, and the second day I do this. So many rules. Oh my gosh, we are human beings. We used to eat, you know, intuitively, this berry is poisonous, this one's okay. Oh, I feel like having this, I need to go hunt my meat. It's been like that for so long. And to get back to that, you'd be astonished how your body really tells you what you need when you need it. People always say, well, how much protein do I need? My body craves it, tells me when I need it, but I've also eliminated all chemicals from my diet, so I'm not anesthetized to what my body needs. When you eat processed foods that are laden with all kinds of chemicals, it puts a barrier between you and your body, and you can't even hear what your body is saying. You know, it'll say it's hungry when it's not. You're emotionally eating, or you just get distracted. All of this becomes numb, and that's what the somatorespiratory integration does when I work with people. Is I could walk you through 5-minute relaxation and have everybody relax like this. I give people tools on how to get in touch with their body and go within to find peace and ease. Myth number 5, that healthy food tastes bad, takes a lot of time to prepare, and is expensive or boring. I'm not going to eat anything that's boring. I can promise you that right now. And it doesn't take any time. What I prepared today for everybody to taste, it took me 0 time. I don't have time to be in the kitchen all the time. So I find ways for shortcuts. I think that's one reason why I do so well with the corporate world is I teach fast food, healthy fast food, tricks of the trade, how to get your kids to eat something. I have a little spiraler. It cost me $35, and my daughter thinks it's the end-all, be-all of all cool contraptions, and it takes a zucchini, and it makes it look like this. Yeah, and she did it, and she loved it, and had fun doing it. And then you can season it with whatever. I have a seasoning here. It took me 5 minutes to cut up. I'll pour it on there and taste it. Savory, salty, oily, yummy, all of the things that the big companies go after when they market to you guys, to the human being species. They know that our brains need oil, so they make things oily. But they use low-grade oils, they use canola oil, and does anybody know where canola oil comes from? Olive oil comes from olives. Sesame oil comes from sesames. Canola oil comes from A canola. What's a canola, Glenn? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It comes from Canada. It comes from the rapeseed plant, which originally had was actually a good resource. However, it's one of the highest genetically modified fields, along with soy and along with corn. So if it's corn, here in the United States, we don't have to say genetically modified, whereas in Europe, you have to state it because it's poison in our bodies. And here in the United States, we don't have to say it. So unless it says non-GMO organic corn or non-GMO, canola oil, I can promise you it has been made in a lab, and we go back to what we talked about in the beginning. Your body does not recognize it as a food. It recognizes it as poison, and that turns into brain fog, weight gain, sleepless nights, unhappy, really everything. Because your body is like a machine. It's doing the best it can to provide health and vitality. It's not normal to have aches and pains at 40 and 50. It's not normal at 60 to be taking pills and just waiting for it to all end by 70. You're like, oh, by 70, I'm going to be teaching yoga and running and having a great time. At 40, I don't have a single ache and pain in my body, rarely to ever. And Bic helped me when I did. But it was something that my body was speaking to me. And I have an ache and pain. My body is saying, you know what, you need to pay attention. And I pay attention and I ask, okay, what is that? And then it does. If I listen, your body doesn't speak English, it speaks body. So I help people understand what their bodies are saying to them. Oh, I do want to tell you that your taste buds change just as quickly as we change our hair color for women. Because people will say, I don't like veggies, I don't want to eat veggies. That's fine, but you do currently crave what you're currently eating. Your taste buds change within a week. Just give it a couple of days. It's those first couple of days that may seem a little difficult, but I have all the tricks on how to make things savory and salty and sweet. I eat all this. I don't eat anything boring. I'm running out of time. Thank you so much. I want you all to please love and honor your body and your food, because it is the single most important relationship that you have in your life. You are what you eat. Thank you.